What's going on, millionaires? You're listening to the $1 Million Mind Podcast, episode 190 on how a relaxed mind nurtures a wealthy mind. So we got our guest today in the building. We have Rajeanna J. Rajeanna, I'm so excited to have you in the building. We talked a couple times on Zoom and on the phone. And as I mentioned, your vibe is just perfect for this conversation. And guys, Rajeanna is the owner of Relaxology Labs, right? A therapeutic products manufacturer and also a heart and mind coherence coach. Super excited to dive into that. And then lastly, Rajeanna has grew up overseas and has stepped foot on pretty much every continent except Antarctica, right?
Yes.
Man, let's start with that because I'm ready to have some fun, Rajeanna. Super excited to dive into today's content. But let's start off with your experiences, right? With just traveling and opening your mind up to so many different cultures and, communities, right? Tell us how that has kind of impacted who you are today and the person that's sitting with us.
So my parents were in the military for both did 20 years. So we got to travel all over the world. So when I was young, I got to visit places like Paris, Rome, and all these great places that we all love to visit and just learn about. And just through that experience, like you said, I got to meet so many different type of people. And honestly, there wasn't a lot of Black Americans over there. So we did definitely stand out. But with that being said, I always felt welcome. I always felt loved. So it really allowed me to just open myself up and be compassionate to people that, you may not see every day. So it really just opened my eyes. And at a young age, I was able to realize that, hey, people really all come from a place of love and community. And that's what I really loved about traveling.
That's important, right? Because on the media, right, sometimes we can see a different side of people, right? We can think people are, all nasty, negative, and there's a lot of hate being spread. And don't get me wrong, there are, evils out there. But when you get to travel, like you said, you get to experience that there's a lot more love out there than hate. There
is. And they really bring you into their communities and really teach you their culture. And that's what I really love the most, because a lot of us are maybe closed-minded to other cultures because we haven't got to experience that in person. So if you're just reading about it, you may not be as connected to it. You know what I mean? But when you're there, you're immersed in everything. And it's just like, oh my God, this is fantastic. I love it. So
you get to sit back, take a deep breath and take it all in.
Right.
So today's word of the day, I'm sure is going to be relax, right?
Relax.
Right.
That's my favorite word.
Let's talk about, how relaxing our minds can lead us to just live a lot more spontaneous than we think. And before we get into today's content, tell our listeners a little bit more about what they can expect from today's episode and our conversation.
Yeah, so today we're really going to be going over how to relax your mind, body, and spirit, and how to really thrive in your body. A lot of the times we're not able to thrive because we're not relaxed enough and we don't even feel confident in our own skin. So if you learn just to relax your body, your spirit will be relaxed. Intuitive thoughts will come into your being, and then you're able to express yourself exactly how you want to. So
that's big. And we got a lot of people who have what motivated me to get you on the show, Rajeanna, is I had a lot of, listeners and people that I know listen to the podcast every once in a while, just kind of talk to me about their experiences and, working at 9 to 5 and trying to step into entrepreneurship. But we got a lot of people who are dealing with that imposter syndrome.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Right?
That was actually me at one point.
Right? And
yes,
I'm sure we're going to talk about that too.
Yes.
So, and just dealing with that and people feeling like they're faking it, this is a conversation that's much needed, because as people start to embody who they truly are and they get to step out of that feeling of being the imposter, then we lead a more happy life. So I'm super excited, and I want to welcome you to the show. And to our millionaires that are tuning in for the first time, to our vets, welcome back to the $1 Million Mind Podcast. This is the #1 community for entrepreneurs in the self-mastery space and abundance. And we do so by having $1 million conversations with really dope people like the one we're about to have right now with Rajeanna. All right, what's up, millionaires? So I know I shared this once, maybe even twice, but here's the third time. So I'm really starting to lose faith in business cards. And the reason why is because every time I get about 500 business cards, I use about 100, 150, and my business has changed. whether the website has changed or just things are just changing, especially when you're a new entrepreneur. I've been in entrepreneurship just under 5 years. So, things are still changing. You're optimizing, you're getting new websites, getting new Instagram accounts, and your business card really expires. So what I learned and what I love now is Popple, right? I have a Popple card right here in my pocket. And what I love about it is it's a physical card that I can put my logo on. Even has a QR code that I can scan or hold up to somebody's phone. And they have a virtual business card where I can update my information as much as I need to. I can share as much information as I want to from my phone number, social media pages, the whole nine. And I can also disable sharing that information if I want to as well. I definitely want you guys to consider Popple, because as your business is changing, why spend so much money on these paper business cards when most of the times people throw them away and it's expired because you changed your business? So there's also going to be a link at the bottom of this video for you to download Popple, get your business card, or if I hold it up close enough, you might be able to scan that QR code. So you're in the right place if you're here for money-making tips and tricks on living a more passionate life. So let's get to it. So let's talk about that mind and heart coherence, right? What does it mean to have your mind and your heart and maybe even your spirit in coherence with each other, as you kind of help people understand?
Okay, so this is a great way to think about it. We have strings on a guitar, and then we actually have the guitar, right? So if you're out of alignment of playing the guitar, there's not going to be any music that comes out. It's just going to be a bunch of jibber jabber. But when those two things are coherent, the person who's playing it, the strings are aligned and in tuned, everything starts to make magic. So if you are doing something out of, let's say, fear, you're not going to be in alignment with your spirit, because your spirit is out of love. So you really want to make a decision on, yes, I want to be where I am and my heart's in the right place. So I always want to start with the heart, because a lot of times our mind just goes off of what we already know. But our heart can actually open us up to different experiences that we don't know about, that we want to experience, that we don't even know that we want to experience. You know what I mean? So really just aligning those two helps you be such a dynamite type of person, because you're able to just go into things without fear. You're able to go into things with your love and your intuition. And it just makes everything's so much better, honestly. Now, you will have struggles sometimes because, we're human, right? So we're always going to go through something. Like today, I forgot my shoes and I found random shoes, right? So it's just you really just got to be in alignment with yourself all the time. And that's what I really try to tell my clients.
And I like that you mentioned starting with the heart first. And for me to be able to understand that, you kind of think, you're right, your brain kind of just knows based off of your current experiences and things like that. But looking into your heart allows you to look into aspects that you may not have ever experienced before in your life.
Right.
So, people who might have had a negative relationship, their mind tells them every single type of person that they need to stay away from.
Exactly.
But then when you open your heart up, all of a sudden you find yourself in this space where you now love a person that you never would have considered yourself maybe even talking to, let alone loving. So that's how I kind of connected that. And I love that you also mentioned the fear too. And I just had this conversation last week where we were talking about how you have to still run towards fear, but not let fear run you.
Yes.
So what is the biggest difference from your experiences on how you can still leverage fear to move towards the things you should be doing, but not allowing that fear to kind of run and manipulate, how you move and what you choose not to do?
Right. So like you said, fear is a natural part of life. It happens to all of us. Even the most successful people are scared sometimes, yet they still go towards their desires. So I would say if you are operating out of fear because somebody's telling you what to do and you don't want to do it, or it's somebody outside of you telling you what to do, and that's the reason why you're doing it out of fear, I would say that is a no-go. I would always say come back to yourself and then make a decision. And sometimes even when we make those decisions that we know it's going to get us to the next level, fear is still going to be there, just because we are literally changing our biological reactions to a situation. So let's say, for instance, you're doing a photo shoot, right? You've never done a photo shoot before. So you're scared, but that photo shoot is going to get you the exposure that you need. So although it's great, you're like, oh my God, I'm so scared. But you got to realize this is your desire. So you're just changing the way you kind of think about things. So the fear still lives there, but you're able to overcome it because you're in love with whatever you're doing.
Right. So pretty much not allowing that fear to say, I'm just not going to do it.
Right.
But more so using it as like, okay, I'm scared because I've never been here before.
Right.
And I'm getting ready to experience something new, and I should be embracing that feeling.
Exactly. And just with anything, if you're used to doing something all the time, your reactions in your body are going to be normal. But if you're not used to doing something, your body's going to be like, hold on, wait, like what's happening in here? And this is all inside of us, right? So different things will happen, like your cortisol levels may raise. It may make you a little stressed out, but at the end of the day, you know, your heart is in the right place. So you're able to overcome those things.
I love that you mentioned that word cortisol, because I think the last time our listeners heard that word might have been in season 1 or season 2, and we're in season 4 now, right? So they might need a refresher on what cortisol is, and we know it's a hormone, but how do our brains play a huge part in how much that hormone may be released and how much that can affect our bodies, you know, physically?
So stress, cortisol, inflammation are actually all really the baseline levels of disease. So a lot of the times if we're stressed out and we hold in that stress and we don't release it, we start to get things like anxiety. We start to like sweat. And so it's a natural part of being. So it's not like we're going to run away from cortisol. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's up to us to really recognize like, hey, I'm going through a stressful moment. And then you rewire your brain to realize like, hey, I'm still in a safe place. So your body releases these cortisol enzymes, and it's just like, it's making you feel like you're not in a safe place. But if you just remind yourself over and over again, like, I'm fine, it'll actually slow down, and you're able to, you know, do whatever you need for the day.
So you got to learn to relax. So there goes that word again, right? You actually have a movement on your page called Relax Culture. Tell our listeners about what relax culture is, and you know how important that movement is, you know, for your brand.
So for my brand and just for me personally, like, so I got to take this back to me, because obviously my whole brand is like pretty much everything that I've went through, which is why I did create Relaxology. So I had really bad anxiety and like just scared to really express myself. So I was like, you know what? Why don't I create a brand behind relaxing? Because that's honestly like the best way. Like, get yourself in a meditative mind state to really be able to put yourself in the situations that you actually want to be in. So relax culture is just to remind people like, hey, do what you need to do. Go chase after your desires. You will be stressed out sometimes, because being an entrepreneur, you know, we always got to go through something. So just that relax culture is to remind people like, hey, it's okay. We're in your space. You got this. And just take a deep breath sometimes, because a lot of the times, if we just take a deep breath, we will be fine. We just got to remember to step back.
And that meditation is a huge part of that relaxation. And I think a lot of people, when we hear meditation, the first thing that comes to mind is the sitting pretzel style in a room. I like the ums too, but it's so much deeper than that. As we talked about different ways and different styles that you can meditate. But before we get into that, one thing that I do want to touch on is the trendy words that people use but don't associate with spirituality and meditation, right? Like positive vibes only and high vibrations and these types of trendy phrases. Why are they so trendy on social media? But in your experiences, it seems to be an underwhelming tone in American culture as far as what it actually means in the spiritual realm. Right.
So yeah, definitely. I would have to tie that with self-care as well, because a lot of the times people use self-care as just like glamorous, like, oh, self-care is so cute. Catch a vibe is so cute, but are you really catching the vibe? You know what I mean? So I feel like we use these words a lot without really using the mechanisms to actually achieve the states of being that we want to. So that's pretty much where I come in. I'm like, hey guys, like, it's not just face mask and all this other stuff. It's really getting deep into yourself so you can realize who you are and how you want to be in this world and serve in this world. So yeah, it's trendy, but taking it a level deeper than that, you're really going to start to see those results, because a lot of people are throwing out these words, but they're not getting the results. And some people are like, oh, well, it's just a fad. No, it's not a fad. If you really do it right, you will get the results that you're actually looking for. And
the best way, and I like that you used it, like, we use it without applying the mechanisms and the methods to actually practicing it.
Right.
And it sounds like the words like CEO and business owner, where these are also trendy words, especially on social media, right? You got people who say, CEO of this and boss of this, and it's great to to want to have that self-identity, right?
Right.
Of course, still people are employees to their own businesses, to where they're answering the customer service calls.
Oh,
but
yes.
I see. What does have you ever talked to Jeff Bezos if your Amazon package didn't come in?
No, I haven't.
So that's what the first thing that came to mind is how people use these terms without actually fully practicing what they actually mean.
Right.
So kind of rewinding, a little bit to your experiences even deeper, because you have had a drastic change in your career path as well.
I did.
What was the motivation or inspiration to such a drastic career change, and what were you doing before, where you are right now?
So my entire life, if you were to ask me when I was a child, the number one thing I wanted to do was help people. But in a child's brain, you're only thinking about one or two things. Like, I want to be a firefighter, an astronaut, or a doctor. And I wanted to be a doctor just because that's what I felt like was going to get people the most help. So growing up, I did a lot of things in high school that pertained to healthcare. I actually worked at a hospital in high school. When I got to college, I actually majored in biology, and I was able to do so much research across the country. So I was totally in the line for what I wanted to do in my brain. But then something happened to me. So in the summer of 2014, I was in a meditative state, and this massive amount of energy just took over my body. And it's like literally something I've never, ever experienced before. And when it took over me, it just felt like I was in heaven. I don't know another way to describe it, but it literally just imagine white, yellow lights, just fuming over your body. So coming out of that experience, I was like, okay, this is just unworldly at this point. I don't even know what's going on. But it really changed my mind to be more paying attention to my spirit. And then I realized wow, we're actually spirits living in a physical vessel. Oh my God. So I started to become aware of all these different things. So then when school started back after the summer, after I finished my research, I was really lost for words, because I was like, this is not the same world or the same awareness or the same being that I was before when I got here. So just having that very spiritual experience happen to me in my body, and it's like, nobody can tell me that didn't happen. My body literally exploded with love and compassion and joy. And I just went to a place that I've never been to, which is just bliss. I had compassion for everything. So then going back to the medical side of things, I was I didn't feel aligned with that anymore. So although that was my life's journey, it switched. And I started really thinking about, what does my spirit want? And that's why I really created the Heart and Mind Coherence, because a lot of the times we can do things because that's what we're used to doing. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going down this career path, and then something happens. You're like, hold on, wait. I don't even know who I am anymore. So I went through a whole phase of just rediscovering myself. And then what I realized, people, of course, they want to do something they're passionate about, but people really just want to feel good in their body. Because sometimes we're going to have to do things that we don't want to do, because we're literally human, and that just happens. But if we can find comfort within ourselves, and we can find that alignment within ourselves, anything that we do can bring you joy. Even if you initially hate it, you can find joy in anything. And that's what I really love. So I went ahead and changed my path. Now full-time entrepreneur, really running my business how I want to run it. And what I love about my business is that things come to me through spirit, right? So actually, Relaxology Labs came to me in a walking meditation. So I had no idea Relaxology Labs was even going to be a thing. And I was like, okay, spirit, I want to do something I'm passionate about, but I can already see that it's not created yet. So I really went into that state, and I'm just like, okay, I'm asking and I know I'm going to receive. So then literally the word relaxology comes to my mind. And of course I Google it. I'm like, what relaxology? What does that even mean? And I'm like, there was no answer because nobody had ever done it before. So then I just honestly ran with it. And I just feel like spirit always gives me these little nuggets that I literally would not have known because maybe it's not even created yet. And I really think that's how a lot of great inventions come in that haven't been created yet, like the light bulb or the telephone or the iPhone. Like it came from somewhere, and it's usually comes from yourself. It comes from spirit. Because a lot of the times when we're thinking of things, you know, we try to move from our mind. It doesn't really work out. But when you start to add that intuition and that spirit in there and that inspiration, it really comes full circle. So that's really my whole message to everybody. It's like, you really got to have that in alignment with yourself. And then you're able to just like experience so many beautiful things. And I don't feel like I'm special. So I feel like anybody could experience what I experienced with that energy search. Because I've actually experienced that. experienced that more than once. So it's just a powerful experience, and it completely changed my life for forever.
Yeah, and I can tell that, you know, because of that experience is how you're able to speak with so much passion about it as well. And so, and it's so crazy because I can just see how people hearing this is like, who have never experienced it before themselves, it's just probably at a loss for words just as much as you were when it first occurred to you. And I think the best way for me to even understand that, fast forward to the first time that, you know, I've even had experience similar, is just understanding that our brains work twofold, right? And we have like the conscious and then the subconscious. And if we only relied on the conscious, there will be no such thing as new inventions, right? Because the conscious is what we see and experience. So we can't create things that don't exist. Literally. If we're operating in our conscious mind that only sees things that currently exist. And that subconscious is more so of like a cell tower or a radio station that receives these waves and these energies and, you know, these sources from things that are outside of this realm, right?
That are unseen.
Exactly, unseen. So do you feel like you had that aha moment that first time to open your eyes to a new way that you can help and heal people?
Yeah, absolutely. So going through that experience, like I said, I had to go back to college and finish my research. We were doing things like, you know, I can't really say everything that we were doing because we were doing animal research, and that's a very tricky topic to tackle. But we were mixing a bunch of chemicals to try to heal things. And then when I started doing research on the chemicals, because you have to know where it derived from, everything derived from a plant. And I'm like, hold up, wait, why are we second sourcing our healthcare? This is very weird. Then I start to like research all these medicinal medicines and things that, you know, like in African spirituality where they use the medicines to heal the nations. And it just took me through a wormhole of so many things that I didn't know. So then I was like, you know what? Instead of getting a byproduct of something, I want to go to the source. So for me, it helped me change my diet. It helped me change my mindset. Just everything about that experience made me change to be more organic, right? Because we're organic beings. And just with anything, if you put something that's not natural on your body, you may have an irritant because your body is a natural organism. So it really just made me step back. And I'm like, you know what? There's so many different modalities to healthcare than what the Western society is really allowing the public to see. So there's more than just like medicinal plants. There's like even different type of movements can help you release certain type of energies. Like that's why people practice yoga, right? They're really getting comfortable with their body. They're releasing stress. So it just opened my world up to so many alternative different ways of healing. And I really love all of them.
All of them. I mean, because all healing is good healing.
All healing is good healing. And it's not like we can take out what Western society has done. So obviously, if you have a broken leg, I mean, you're going to need a surgeon, right? So of course, there's definitely perks to that, but also on the other side of that, there's heavy sedation, there's heavy medications and people literally cannot get off these medications. So I was just like, you know what? If we just step back and learn about where these things actually derive from, we could go about this whole thing in a more holistic way. So, right. So we're not going to just throw out everything Western medicine did because it has actually got us to somewhere where we've never been before. But let's kind of like add all of that in. So let's add in exercise, right? Let's add in diet. Let's add in having your own positive thoughts. Because even if you have negative thoughts, your body mood changes, right? So if you're thinking bad about yourself, you're going to get a lower vibration, and those lower vibrations actually attract disease. It really does. So, I mean, I love alternative healing, and I feel like if people just dive more into that, they're going to see phenomenal results. To what they're already doing.
Absolutely. I could see it too. Now, the main thing I want to kind of understand, as I'm sure our listeners could resonate with this as well, as you were still, after the fact, you already had this outer body experience, and now you're going back to school, finishing your research. One, how was it just finishing this research, even though you found a new passion? And then two, what type of resistance did you get? And how were you able to combat that resistance when you started to make that transition?
So I'm the type of person who, once I commit to something that I think is the right thing to do, I'm going to do it. So in my mind, the right thing for me to do was finish the research that I had been working on, go ahead and go to med school and be this great research scientist / doctor. I actually wanted to get an MD PhD because I really felt like the medical system is really lacking on research, and they're just doing things that we've done since the 70s that literally does not work anymore. So I really did love the aspect of research. But I remember sometimes I would go to the lab and I would just feel drained. I'm like, okay, what is wrong with me? Why don't I want to be here? So before that experience, everything was like totally in alignment. Like, yes, this is exactly what's going to get me into med school. This is what's going to give me the most experience and exposure to what I want to do. After that experience, my spirit just didn't feel right. It's just an unsettling feeling. So if you're so used to being happy somewhere and then something happens, you're like, okay, wait. So that's when I really had to take a step back. I'm like, okay, I don't feel comfortable in this space anymore because of what have I experienced. So it was actually a really slow transition for me. So I didn't just like one day like, hey, I'm just going to quit my research and start this new thing because I didn't even know what it was. So for me, meditation and yoga really helped me just slow down and really get into myself to figure out what does my spirit want, right? Not just what my mind wants, not just what society deems as success, not just going after the biggest pot of gold, but what does my actual spirit want and how can I serve from a place of love then instead of a place of fear, instead of a place where I don't want to be. So I really got into meditation, I got into yoga, and that really just helped me slow my mind down. Then I was able to kind of put the pieces back together. And then I just realized from that point on, I'm going to start having to build something new because there's literally nothing that I can see so far with my human eye that I can connect with or I can just dive deep into. So really just slowing down really helped me through that transition period.
Now, through that transition and going back and forth between spaces, even though I can see how they're still very similar, I'm sure in certain moments you might have felt like they're total opposites. Were you dealing with what we talked about before of that imposter syndrome at all?
Yes, absolutely. So just from a background of being all biomedical research science, I even did clinical trials as well, because I'm like, maybe biomedical research isn't my things. Maybe I'll go to clinical trials. And that's where after you make the medicine, humans actually have to try it out. Like these are real human subjects, you know what I mean? So I just felt like, God, all these chemicals, we're just giving people all these chemicals. So I just really focused my mind on where my new service was. And that really helped me overcome the imposter syndrome. Because I'm like, you know what? We don't have to be an imposter to anything because we can actually be everything if we open our minds up. So I don't feel like people should really drop the labels at this point. Because it's like, if you're just so stuck on the label, which I was a research scientist, I'm going to be a doctor. But when you hold on to that label so tightly and then your spirit shifts, you kind of feel lost and you do feel like an imposter in your new world. So I would say if anybody's experiencing that, like it happens and it's okay, really just need to slow down, release the labels and allow yourself to experience the human experience, which is we can experience so many things, right? I know like growing up, a lot of us, like we get in a career and we stay there forever. Like that's what our parents did. They stayed in their careers 20, 30, 40, 50 years. It's come a new time where people are exposed to a little bit more things and are able to see like, hey, my interest just doesn't just grow right here. It actually feels good over here. So definitely go with what feels good. And sometimes even if it feels good, you may feel like, oh my God, I'm not ready for it. I'm an imposter. But definitely listen to your spirit because it's always going to lead you in the right direction on where you feel the most expansion, I would say.
I love that. And I especially love that you mentioned that, you know, we have the capabilities to be everything, right? And to achieve anything, to acquire everything is really all, again, back with that subconscious and, you know, the things that we put into our bodies and what we put into our spirit and what we release out as well. So what do you feel like has helped you with your relaxation methods and how it might have played a huge role into your life as an entrepreneur?
Oh, that's a great question. So my relaxation methods really, so obviously I was a 9-to-5er right after I graduated college. So it's not like I've never been in that world, right? So transitioning to that is a huge mindset, just like shift. You're like, hold on, wait, what? I got to make all the decisions now? I got to fail by myself now? Hold on, wait, what? So just being able to sit back and be like, okay, everybody had to start somewhere. Because a lot of the times we're looking at success at the people in the people's middle of their success or right at the end of their success. Or if they're already legends, like, oh my God, they were a legend. But there was a time where they really had to put in that work. So just from me being a research scientist, I kind of transferred that skills over to entrepreneurship where I still have to do research on my business every day. I still have to apply what I learned and see if it actually works, right? Because a lot of the times we come up with things that sound cool, but they're flops, and that's okay, because that's what entrepreneurship is all about. Like, we gotta make the best decisions at the right times. So just being able to just sit back and relax and take things as they are, knowing that I do have to start over, which is completely fine, really helped me dive into the entrepreneurship in a way that I've never thought I would be able to do it before.
Mm-hmm. And knowing that there's a process to everything.
Right.
A process. And as a research scientist, I'm sure you know, because there's a process to how you do research and how you apply that research as well.
Right.
So, of course, with any type of process, in the beginning of that process, there's going to be some negative experiences.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you think our listeners tapping in now can maybe develop some type of spiritual callousness to these negative experiences or these negative vibrations?
Okay, I like that. So I would say, you know what your desire is, right? Mm-hmm. So you know where you are and you know where you want to be. So in between that little space is the transition period. Mm-hmm. So the best way I think the audience would really appreciate, and it's so simple, is literally just sit back and relax. So it's not just sitting down and thinking of nothing, right? We're actually going to be doing work in this meditation. So I want the audience to find a quiet place whenever they get the chance, whether that's like early in the morning or late at night, when your brain is really in between the state of deep sleep and awakefulness, because that's where a lot of the creation happens. Mm-hmm. So if you can hone in on that state and really just feel your desire and where you want to be, I would say to just continue to channel that information in, because all this stuff is just information from the ethers. So whatever your desire is, let's say you don't feel, in your mind, you may not feel like you're ready for that, but you know you want it. Mm-hmm. If you just take time to channel, how would I act if I was in that place? How would I feel if I was in that place? What would I wear if I was in that place? Really just start to play in your imagination and really feel that character out. Because if you're just thinking about something, you're never going to be it, right? Mm-hmm. Basketball players aren't thinking about playing basketball. They're playing basketball. So if you want to be successful in any place of your life, you need to feel in that character. And the best way for you to do that is to really just sit down, start using your imagination as if you were a kid, and really be that character in your mind. And as you continue to do that over time and time again, it'll start to feel normal in your body. And then you will start to be able to execute outside of your body. So if I'm in a meditative mind state and I'm like, okay, I'm a successful entrepreneur, and that comes with a lot of different ways. Success is defined in so many different ways. Mm-hmm. But let's say you're continuing to say that, and then you start making decisions as a successful entrepreneur. But if you're always doubting yourself, you're just never going to get there. You're never even going to take the step to even do the first step to get there.
Or even have the thought.
Or even have the thought to get there, right? Like, you have no thoughts. So sit back, relax. In the morning time or really late or right before you go to bed, calm yourself, calm your heart down, take a couple deep breaths, and feel in that character and be in that character. And then I guarantee you'll start to feel more like that character, and you'll be able to execute way better. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's just a phenomenal step. That catch the feeling, catch the
vibe, and I really like the time that you advised as well between deep sleep and awakefulness. And I think that might be the easiest time for our listeners to really, especially for the beginners, to be able to find that balance, because I'm not sure how many people are familiar with this, but our phones, literally with the blue lights and the radiation that it gives off, it forces us to enter full awakefulness. So when we pick up our phones, when we first wake up, we're literally increasing an immense amount of cortisol through our body just from looking at our phones. So I think if we could swap that out for the practice of, just laying there for a little bit longer and thinking, that would definitely, help a lot of people tap into a space where they've never been before.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, as we starting to switch things up, I got a couple more questions for you, Rajeanna.
Okay.
And before we get to that, we are transitioning into our rapid fire round, which is powered by Pod Decks, right? So I got 5 random questions that have nothing to do with what we just talked about, right?
Okay.
So this is to help us transition and switch into our final couple questions. And this first random question is, what do you consider your greatest achievement?
I would say my greatest achievement was getting back into my body. It really is, because I was operating from a place of just habit, and now I'm operating from a place of creation. So,
wow, getting back into your body and habit versus creation. That's a big one. Always be creating. I love that one. Yes. I love that one. Number 2 is, what is your guilty pleasure?
Ooh. I would say anything chocolate. Like, I am a chocolate girl. Like, I love anything chocolate, like dark chocolate, milk chocolate, any chocolate. Yeah, no, I'm a chocolate fanatic.
That's me right there too. I mean, so keep this right. I actually use chocolate as my craving for my as I was doing habit creation.
Okay.
So to wake up at 5, I would wake up, go to the kitchen, and like get like 5 pieces of like baking chocolate.
Okay.
So that I could wake up and then stay up.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I mean, have you read the book Atomic Habits?
I love Atomic Habits.
So
that's my book.
When he was talking about the habit creation, needing that craving to get a response.
Right.
I was like, okay, I know what my craving is going to be. It's going to be some chocolate.
Right. So it got you up.
I try to stay away from it throughout the day so that I could really look forward to it in the morning when I wake up.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Yes.
All right. Number 3, who would play you in a movie?
Play me in a movie? Like a famous person?
Yeah. Or, I mean, yourself, if that's your vibe.
Who would play me in a movie? Like my life character?
Yeah, I mean, if you had a movie.
If I had a movie by myself, I would pick Viola Davis because she is so spicy.
Okay.
I would want her to like really show me out. Like, yeah, girl, I'm in here.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm super excited to kind of see that movie. I think it's called The Woman King. The
one that she's working on right now. I'm super excited to see that.
All right, number 4 is, what book do you believe belongs on everyone's bookshelf?
Okay, I can't say Atomic Habits because we already talked about that. Just talked about that. I would say Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. Guys, that book is a game changer.
Wait, what's it called again?
Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Man, I never heard of that one, but I'm super excited you just brought it up.
That is going to explode your mind.
A great read. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Especially if yourself has habits of self-doubt.
Exactly.
Oh man, I can't wait to read that one. It's probably on Audible, right?
It's on Audible, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to read it and get it on Audible so I can listen to it. All right, last one is, what's your recurring nightmare if you have one?
I actually haven't had a nightmare in a really long time. I'm not gonna lie. But when I was a kid, I used to have a nightmare that a cloud was following me, and I'm just like, I'm running so fast and nobody has a cloud over them but me. And I really hated that dream. But then I start to go into dream interpretation, and that's a whole nother different topic. But so, yeah.
I think that's very interesting. Do you think that dream was to tell you to run into the cloud instead of away from it?
That's interesting. I really felt like it told me to sit with my sadness and process my emotions. So yes, definitely sit with the cloud and process it. And then through that processing, your shiny day will come. Gotcha. But if you're constantly running from your fears and running from everything you're scared from, you'll never be able to process those emotions that are attached to it. So,
Gotcha.
And I haven't had the dream since.
Yeah, it was along those lines of what I was thinking of. Because it reminded me, as soon as you said that, it reminded me of the story of like where they came up with the term buffalo soldier. Like how buffaloes are like one of the rarest animals that run into storms where they all run away from the storm. Yeah, to get through it faster. Awesome. I love that. So we getting ready to wrap things up. Regina, this next question is, have you ever seen the movie Matrix?
I have.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to take the seat of Morpheus, right?
Okay.
And you're going to give our listeners who are Neo a pill, the red pill and blue pill. Okay. If you could give them a scenario of what that red pill would be and what that blue pill would be, what would those pills be?
I would say, okay, I haven't watched that movie in a really long time. So
the red pill would be this thing and you get these powers, and the blue pill would be this thing and you get these powers.
So red pill, you're able to live your life, go back in time and review it and have a decision on whether you want to relive it or change it. I would say that. Or blue pill, you are a spirit, not even incarnated into a body, and you're watching humans live their life, and you're helping them through those modalities. So either you're in your body, you're reviewing your life and being able to change it how you want to, or not even being human and helping the humans out through spiritual connection. Let's go.
Like
Which one do you want to be?
I like that one. So millionaires, you got it right here. Red pill is going to be to live your life and have the abilities to rewind after living your life, rewind and changing it if you needed to, or you can not be human at all, be a spiritual being and help humans advance and live their lives. Which one you picking, right? Red pill or the blue pill? We're going to put it on Spotify so that you can vote the poll, or if you're in our Facebook mastermind, you can go ahead and vote there and you can connect with us on the Facebook mastermind. I would love to have you guys there anyway, so that you can connect with myself and people like Rajeanna and other millionaires like yourself on a daily basis. Okay. So go ahead and vote. Let us know which pill you're taking. And Rajeanna, this next question for you is, you are, headed out, right? And you stumble across an 18-year-old, a spitting image 18-year-old version of yourself.
Okay.
What would be some advice you would give 18-year-old Rajeanna?
Oh my gosh, this is so easy. I would say follow your heart and listen to your intuition. Those are the number 2 key things, because honestly, without that, you're always going to feel misaligned in whatever you do. And your intuition is always going to give you those nice little nuggets that you need to go to the next phase of your life. So really dive into those things, and I feel like you guys are going to be okay. Yeah.
Follow your heart and
listen to listen to your intuition.
Those are big ones, because I feel like we're always using this, that we try to run away from that.
Right.
Because this tells us being an adult and being a responsible adult means staying at this job that you hate, staying in this relationship that's toxic, doing all these things because you got to make money and provide. Where this is constantly telling you, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. Right. And you can still easily identify opportunities, to do all of those things that you need to do. Before we wrap things up, what have been some ways that have allowed you to keep your mind and your heart open to assess these opportunities as they come, to, live your passions, but still be able to, provide for yourself and for your family?
So I would say just really trusting yourself, right? So a lot of the times we get lost because we don't trust ourselves. We don't trust our instincts. Because even with animals are totally instinctual, if I said that word right. And they always go off of their instinct. But humans, we get lost in the sauce because there's just so many things going on. So I would definitely say stay focused, listen to yourself, really go off that instinct, like the gut feeling. Like gut feelings are just more than gut feelings, right? They're things that really drive you forward and get you to the place where you need to be. And if you tap into those things, I think you'll be able to navigate this plane so much easier than what we thought we would be able to.
That's awesome and very, very well spoken. I like that answer. So, Rajeanna, you got a couple things going on from, your course and all different, things that you're getting ready to release in the future. Yes. I want to give you the space to tell our listeners not only, where they can connect with you further, but a little bit more about some of these special projects that you have coming up and what you're excited about.
Okay, so I actually do have a course launching. It's called the Raise Your Vibration course. The whole thought behind that course is to really just get you into a place where you're able to be creative, where you're able to operate from a place of bliss and love, and where you're able to really just take your passion and really actually do something with it. Because a lot of the times we're passionate about something, but we don't even have the energy to do it because we are in a doubtful mindset. So the course starts off with forgiveness. It goes into some application on how you can relax your mind. And then it dives into, okay, we're taking this thing that we desire and we're actually creating steps within the course on how you can get there. And for the most of the part of the course, we're going to be talking about really raising your vibration, being happy, being grateful, coming to your desires with a really nice mindset so you're able to achieve what you want to achieve. So you guys can find me at Rajeanna J. It's Rajeanna J on Instagram. I also have a company called Relaxology Labs. You can find me there. Soaps, roll-ons, and all that goodness stuff for the bathroom. And yeah, those are the 2 things that I'm super excited about right now. Awesome.
I'm super excited for you as they drop pretty soon as well. And I know our millionaires who, really resonated with this episode and really want to identify ways that they can tap into themselves a little bit deeper, find creative ways to relax a little bit more. I definitely want to encourage you all to tap in with Rajeanna as well. And Rajeanna, I want to invite you to our Facebook mastermind as well, because it's a lot of millionaires who like to connect and engage with us. And I think that'd be a great place, a great space for you to connect with those like-minded individuals as well.
Yes.
As always, I want to appreciate you for taking time out of your Saturday to join me and our audience for this amazing conversation. It could have went on way deeper than
Honestly,
it did.
it could have, we got stuff to talk about.
I'm sure we might have a part 2 coming up soon for our millionaires, so I'm excited for that. And as always, to our millionaires that are tapped in, I'm super thankful to have you all a part of the show week in, week out. Just continue to be the change agents that you're bound to become, especially as you apply some of the principles you heard today from Rajeanna. So if you really resonated with today's episode and today's content, go ahead and follow Rajeanna on all platforms. And when is that course launching again, Rajeanna?
So the course will launch in about 2 weeks. We actually had to take a step back and kind of do some refining and retuning. But the course is loaded with goodies. So in about 2 weeks, it'll launch. And
I'm sure that step back was more so in the purpose of making sure that the value was there.
Right. I didn't want to be, I worked so hard for this course, and I was just super exhausted when I was about to launch. And I was like, I want to give everybody my whole self. So I took a step back, allowed myself to rejuvenate, really tweak some things that I think are going to be phenomenal. So yeah, it's going to be really great. And it's going to be live. It's going to be a 5-day live course. So
Awesome. Even better that it's live. So you got some Q&A opportunities in there, I'm sure too.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. Well, I'm super thankful to have you on here, Rajeanna, and I'm super excited about, the direction that course and the people that it's going to impact as well. As we, wrap this up, we talked about validation and value, and we are in this age where, people are using social media and creating courses for the validation. And what I love the most is that the individuals like yourself who we had on the platform are, creating opportunities for people and providing massive value. So that's the biggest thing, is value over validation, my friends, purpose over profit. I'm your guy, Kai Speaks. You just heard it from Rajeanna J on a healthy and a relaxed mind nurtures a wealthy mind. Just remember to keep focused, build momentum, and drive results so you can live abundantly. Peace.